Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Awaken the Wonder. I'm here with Joshua Smith.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good to have you back here for part 4 of the conversation. Right off the top, anybody that has not heard part 1, 2, and 3, you need to go back. In part 1, Joshua tells his amazing story of how he came to Christ, how the Lord has been using him powerfully because of it. In part 2, he actually interviewed me about my childhood a little bit. I got to talk about my parents and the things that I actually experienced as a child, which I know will bless you. And in part 3, we talked about Vision 1,000,000 for our Happy New Year. Today, we're in our second day of the year. I know many people are back in the gym today. You're getting on that treadmill. You're getting on the elliptical. Go for
diets.
it. Yeah, you go get those New Year's goals. You can do it in Jesus' name. But for today, we want to talk, actually go back a little bit and talk about our story. Before we do that, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this video, share this podcast, give a 5-star rating if you can, and get the word out for what God is doing. We have already had literally thousands of downloads that have come in the short time this podcast has been out, and I know it's going to be a blessing to many. But Joshua, let's go back here to 8th grade real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm in 8th grade. I have a dream where the Lord speaks to me. And it's one of the few times I've had a dream in my life, actually, because I usually have visions. Yep. But I had a dream that I was going to go into my high school, and at the time I was living in Florida, and I was going to have this giant assembly program, and hundreds of people were going to come to Christ. Mm-hmm. So a few months later, we moved to Nebraska, and as those that have been listening, they know we met freshman year. Well, we end up meeting. We end up sharing a locker together.
Yep.
And
I'm that kind of a guy.
Yeah. You are that kind of guy.
A girl pressured me into doing it.
Yeah. It was. I was very grateful though because I didn't have a locker. So, however it happened, it was a forged friendship right off the beginning.
That's right.
Now, 3 weeks into this friendship. We was centered around basketball a lot in those early days. Still play a lot. We get hurt a little more than we used to, though.
It's a little harder. I don't jump as high as I used to.
Yep. And we're about 3 weeks into this friendship, and we end up playing for like 2 or 3 hours, and we pass out.
Yeah.
And I say, bro, I want to tell you about this dream I had the other day, and I tell you that dream that I had. Yeah. And take it from there, man.
Yeah, and it was the most bizarre thing because I normally have dreams, but I actually had an open vision on orientation day of high school. I was sitting there and I went into this vision of going, oh, I'm going to share the gospel with everyone here, and they're going to hear about Jesus. And this is going to be this crazy thing, and I'm like, this is nuts. And so then you start telling me about this dream, and I'm going, what? Like, how is that? Dude, that's crazy. I had the same dream. And so that like messed me up. I was like, because I'd never had something like that happen before where two people had the same thing happen.
Now, we loved Jesus right off the bat.
Yes.
Everybody could tell that.
Yeah. We were the token Jesus freaks of the school.
Yeah, we love DC Talk and the Jesus Freak Days. Shout out to them and Toby Mack.
There you go, Toby.
Michael Tate, Kevin, the crew, man. They need to get back together. That'd be awesome. But in those days, I remember like we had the same dream. That was the moment for me. I realized that your name was Joshua, my name was Caleb. We had, as we often hear now, you know, in the prophetic community, the intercessors, Caleb and Joshua in the promised land.
They get real excited when they hear. They're like, "Wait,
it's true."
Like we were at a meeting just the other week, and they're like, "What's your name?" Joshua. What's your name? Caleb. No, what's your real name? Joshua. Caleb. Like, really? Yeah. Really? Yeah. And so they freak out about that. And so then every person that came in late afterwards like, hey, these guys are new. Guess what their names are? Joshua and Caleb. And then they're like, is that your real names? Like, yes. So yeah, it is kind of funny the reactions we get.
Well, it is. And for me, I realized at that time, because that was obviously one of my favorite stories because Caleb was in it.
There you go.
You didn't even know the other guy was named
no,
Caleb,
which
is
is funny. No, I didn't care about the other guy. Josh was the man, and then there was that other guy.
Yeah, Joshua and the other dude, yeah. So for me, I realized right off the bat, there was something, obviously the Lord had linked us together.
Yeah.
I had already been doing stuff in my 8th, 7th, 6th grade years, and even as a child.
Yeah.
And so I had been seeing God do crazy stuff, but now I'm this new freshman kid in a new school year.
New state.
I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And the only person God gave me right out the bat was you. And so now here we are forging this friendship. So that's pretty cool. Tell me a story or two from high school that you remember, because I know that obviously our lives were marked.
Yeah. So well, like the first thing about Caleb that shocked me, because I was the Jesus freak coming into school that people knew, and they called me Reverend Smith and Preacher Joshua and all these things, and all, like, I had all these nicknames for me, and then this guy comes in, and I'm like trying to be a cool guy walking into high school, and I cared way too much, but Caleb did not, and he just would run around singing worship songs through the hallways. I'm like, bro, we are freshmen, don't do that. Like, the older people are gonna make fun of us, and you're sharing a locker with me. Like, that's bad for my street cred. And he didn't care, man. And it was so funny. Like, for anyone listening, the less you care, the more people seem to just love you for it. And because you ended up being homecoming king.
I don't even hardly talk about that.
Yeah. No. Like, he was homecoming king. He actually.
I really wanted it that year. I didn't think I had a shot, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, like, I wasn't a cool kid, so to speak. I loved everybody, but like, all of the cool kids were the captain of this team.
And that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
And
like people. And my wife was prom queen, and she's like, she didn't feel like she was a cool kid either. But you just loved people.
Right.
And that was what she did. She was friends with everybody. You loved on people. You cared about people, and people recognized that. And you were so free that you didn't mind embarrassing yourself or embarrassing. Like you just loved people, and that freedom set other people free, and that was a huge piece. So I always loved that about you. But even our friendship, man, how we did things, like, you would call me up. You were kind of the ringleader. You'd call me up, and you'd call other people up, and you'd be like, hey, let's go do something. And we'd go and hang out. But then it always ended. We always ended every night worshiping Jesus.
Yeah. No,
didn't matter what it was.
Those times are incredible.
They were, man. Like, we ended up almost every weekend at either your house or my house.
Yeah.
And it was such a strange thing to, like, even our other Christian friends thought we were pretty weird. We would invite them over, but a lot of them would leave, and we would just stay and just say, hey, we're gonna pray, we're gonna worship Jesus together. And that was high school for us.
Yeah, we'd do the basketball.
Of course,
we'd go to the park.
We'd do movies. We'd go out and do fun stuff.
Then you get done, and it was like everybody, go to McDonald's afterwards and get the dollar ready and play the Monopoly game, and then it was like, hey, let's go pray and worship.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, all right, I'll see you guys.
Yeah, I got to go home now. Yeah.
So that was high school, though. No, you're right. And the Lord was really forging something back then that we didn't even realize. There might be people listening today, and they're like, well, my high school experience wasn't like that. Or maybe I'm an adult now. I've got some kids. I'm just going to work and doing my daily job here. But, like, man, how do you find friends like that you can run with? No,
and that's true, and it's a rare thing. But I think being that friend is the biggest part of that. Being that person and stepping up when like, we get opportunities all the time, right, to make a decision to do the right thing or do the wrong thing, and it's really easy because the wrong thing's typically the popular thing. That's the normal thing to do, right? But I remember, man. All right, I'm going to tell an embarrassing story about you for a second. Is that all right?
All right, let's do it.
So Caleb came in. We tried out for a basketball team. Our basketball team freshman year was terrible. We were terrible.
0-14.
It's true. We lost every game, but I still haven't forgiven our coach for it. But Caleb came in and he had great handles. You had a great shot. You led the team in steals. You were like he had fast hands, and he came from, you were coming from California at that time.
At the time, Florida.
Florida. It was Florida. So he came in talking a lot of trash for Midwest boys, and he had the game to back it up. And so he caused these popular kids that were playing basketball. This new guy coming in. And of course, all new guys, like all the girls are checking out the new guy, and he's beating them in basketball. So they hated him. And he talked about Jesus, and he denounced all the stuff that they were doing when they're like, well, let's go party, let's go drink, let's go do this. And he's like, no, I'm not about that. So they were angry. And there were 3 of them one day afterwards. He went to go to the bathroom in the locker room, and they said, man, let's go beat up this new kid. Let's go cause some problems for him. And I remember hearing that, and we had just become friends. We were getting there, and I'm going, I have a choice. What do I do?
Am I all in on this
friendship? Yeah, because I know that
if
I stepped in and stopped it, I'm marking myself as I am up to Caleb's caliber of crazy Christian, and you still made me uncomfortable at the beginning, and so at that moment I decided I got to do this. So I stood in front of the entrance to the bathroom and said, guys, you can't go in there, and they threatened me, and it's amazing. You're going to come under attacks, you're going to come under peer pressure, you're going to come under all that stuff. Whether you're a kid, whether you're an adult, and the decision to stand up, you're going to get some pushback. But I'm telling you, I've had to do this several times. When you stand firm, they back off.
Well, and you know, even now, like if you look at present day situations, obviously all of the election stuff has just taken place.
Yeah.
And like to put it into a position where people standing up for babies that are alive, that's actually become political.
I know.
And so we don't talk about it.
I know.
But babies are just literally being slaughtered.
Yeah.
And you're like, we can't talk about that though? You're like, you know, or talk about, you know, things with same-sex marriage. It's present day stuff right now.
Yeah.
Jesus loves everybody. He's
Absolutely.
not willing that any would perish, and he wants everybody to come to Christ. But like, no, you don't condone that behavior. That's not what God asked you to do. In the same way that people are in pornography, or
absolutely.
I told this, and I say this because in all complete honesty, I told my wife the other day, and this, well, hopefully nobody quotes this part of it. I told my wife, I said, wife, I've probably wife.
Wife.
I said, Harmony. I said, I've probably had 100 affairs on you. And at first she goes, what? And I was like, if you look at it the way Jesus, the way Jesus looks at it, if you've lusted in your heart after a woman, you've already committed adultery.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, if we took it by Jesus standards, well, yeah, we're all murderers. we're all adulterers. We've all done this, that, and the other. And so there is that element. But like in this present day, to take a stand is to, like you said, assign yourself with a side that isn't popular.
Yeah.
That it is unpopular to make those stands. And because of that, people are in these tough spots where if they want to be the person or be the friend, they've been ostracized to be able to make those decisions, and so it's difficult.
My wife is black, and being together for so long that we have, I've started seeing things from different perspectives and going, man, some of the things that I thought was normal and thought was okay, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize how that was affecting other people, and being willing to just go, okay. And talking to other Christian brothers and sisters and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe some of the things that we look at, like if we go back to the Bible and read this, maybe we've been off on some of this. And that's, standing up to other Christians is really tough.
Yeah.
Like your own brother, like let alone the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, standing up and saying, look, a baby is a baby. I like Dr. Seuss's book, A Person is a Person, no matter how small.
Yeah.
And that was in response to abortion. That's why Dr. Seuss wrote that book. But anyway.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, no, you're right, man. We today have all of these things that society is telling us not to speak up on, and going, well, do I do this? And of course, when you do this, you got to do it soaked in love. You got to do it soaked in love. You got to make sure that that I actually just spoke this morning about words and how powerful they are and how you have life and death in your tongue. And anyway, I think like even a fool is thought wise if you keep your mouth shut. So not every opinion you have needs to be broadcast right away.
Right.
Make sure you just sit there and let the word just wash over you, and then let that direct your steps. But so not only did we do that, but we saw people in high school. You were so bold that you actually came into some confrontation with the administration.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Caleb came up to me one day. He goes, "Hey man, I think we should do a Bible study in our school." And I was like, "Dude, we already lead the Bible study in our school." He's like, "Yeah, but I want another one." And I was like, "What are we gonna do?"
It 2 days a week.
I was like, "What?" And like commitment before school, Bible study, and what do we? You're like, "We're gonna pray, we're gonna worship, we're gonna." And I'm like, "All right, man." And so you went to the principal. What was that like trying to get that started?
Well, basically, long story short, for the sake of time and our listeners, they put me through 6 months of hoops of things that they were trying to get me to do that like any high schooler would have just been discouraged by and not done it. But like, that wasn't me. My mindset was like, the Lord told me to do something.
Yeah.
And I remember after 6 months of those hoops, I had just pretty much given up. And I let it sit for a month. And I was in a history class sophomore year. I still remember it. It was around 9:40 something in the morning. And I still remember it because I looked up at the clock. And I've always been a numbers guy. So 9:43, I believe it was. And I was taking a quiz. And I heard the Lord just clearly say, "I told you to do something." And I had let it drop for 6 months. He said, "I told you to do something." And I went and got a pass to go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom and I went in there and I just, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I blah, blah, blah. And I should have done this. And you told me to start this program and this prayer group." And, I was just like going to town.
Did you hear the
and
flush?
then I heard the toilet flush. And some dude like comes out
Awkwardly,
and he like starts washing his hands and he kind of looks over at me. He's like, "You all right, dude?" I'm like, "Yes." And I went back to class and I finished the test, I finished the class, and it was literally like break right there, 15 minutes. There's a 15-minute window there in the middle of the day. And I went straight to the principal's office and I said, "What are we going to do? This is going to get done." like there was no hesitation or should I go home and talk about it for, no, it was just like straight to the office. And it did not matter what they did at that point.
Yeah.
I crossed every hurdle. And by the time we went into junior year, I walked in and week 1 or week 2, the prayer furnace began.
That's
and
right.
So, and as far as I understood it, it actually went on for like 10 or 11 years past our graduation date.
See, it went on for a few years after us. It outlived us.
Which is incredible.
Because we had younger siblings that were at our same school, and they're like, and even some of them helped lead it. And, that was really neat. But yeah, so we ended up so that happened. We were also in charge of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We did the Youth Alive thing, and we just filled our time with trying to get closer to Jesus and trying to get others closer to Jesus.
Now the moment that everything kind of changed, again, because this whole episode started with the dream. Yeah. Was the big high school hurrah moment, and that was Unshackled. And
I remembered that call to it. I like fell away for a little bit because I started dating a girl and I made her my entire world. She's my first girlfriend. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome. I love having a girlfriend." And so like I distanced myself from everyone. I left almost everything on your shoulders. And then I remember we broke up and I was like, "Oh."
I wasn't gonna talk about that part, but
I was like hurt. I was like, "Oh," and I remember we had a free period, and so we went into one of the music rooms, and they had a piano there, and we were just sitting down, and you were learning to mess around on the piano a little bit, and so we were talking, and you were like trying to be a good friend. You're like, "Hey man, you're all right? How you doing? Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, this sucks." And then like. I looked at you, I was like, "All right, I'm so tired of talking about this. How are you doing?" And then you like, dude, that's the first time somebody asked me that in like 4 months.
6 months.
Not that he remembers. Not that it stuck, right?
6 months.
Yeah, and that's how long I dated. And you as the leader, you don't get asked. Leaders don't get asked that a lot, and they get brought problems. They don't get being able to unburden themselves.
Right.
And so when I asked that, you're like, oh my gosh, man. And so then you were able to share a little bit, and we were able to talk, and it just felt so good to be able to share some of that with you again, and be able to take some of that. And then we were there, and all of a sudden, it was
this light bulb went
yeah.
out.
Both of us, and we were like, you remember that dream? Yeah, I remember that dream. Do you remember?
We got like 3 or 4 months left.
Yeah, we're going to graduate soon. We got to do this. The Lord told us it's time. And so, yeah, we ran through and talked about hoops again. Man, it was crazy.
Well, and I'll say, and to make a long story short,
Yeah.
Josh went out and he spearheaded getting donations from like 40 different stores
Yeah.
and places as a high schooler,
Yep.
they were donating like speakers for a car and donating like giveaway items. We've got all these giveaway items. All this crazy stuff happens. We get a band to come in.
Christian rock band came in. We rented out the gymnasium at the school. We had a national team of school speakers that were Christians came in and did that.
Master's commission.
Yeah, I debuted my breakdancing skills.
we like put skits in place.
We did. It was a huge production. It was really cool. And I remember
750 people.
Oh yeah.
Well, look, go back to the so we're in the back room before, and when I was there 30 minutes before was the last time I was in the gym. There was like 25, 30 people kind of running around the gym, and it was about to start. Now, mind you, we had put everything into this.
Oh, yeah.
We even had, 13 churches from around the city. Pastors came.
We called churches.
Every church in the city.
Just
that was
to say,
Christian.
hey, look, we're welcome you in. Come in. There's going to be kids that are going to come to know Jesus. If you guys want to invite them to your church.
We had 13 churches show up that partnered, not giving, but they just showed up as a representative. And I remember being in the back room when we were all praying with the Masters team, our team, whatever. And we walk out of that back room into the gym, and there's 750 people there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blew our minds.
I'm like, what? This is our public school gymnasium where the basketball games are played. 750 people.
Yeah. Like, no idea that many was going to come. But back that up for just a second. I remember a moment, a valuable moment that the Lord taught me that I was driving. I left during my free periods because I had a lot of free periods senior year because I did not take any extra classes. And I was driving to Menards to go buy something for the event. And I remember like complaining to him as I was driving because I'm like, man, I'm spending all the money to pay for the gymnasium. I paid for the rock band to come. I paid for I was like, I'm paying hundreds of dollars for this thing, and I'm like, man, no one else is investing any money into this. Like, Lord, you saw me shoveling snow for years to build this up and working all my weekends and all the sacrifice that I got to get this money, and now I'm blowing it all on this. And the Lord stopped me. He goes, you're doing what with it? He goes, no, you're investing that into the kingdom, and that's your reward.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, and I remember driving in that car, 18 years old. I just started crying. And I just started thanking the Lord, going, Lord, thank you for allowing me to be the one to have the funds that you've allowed me to work and have that wisdom to save, to pour into this. I get to invest this, college and all that other stuff, but I get to invest this into people coming to know Jesus.
Come on. And
that was a powerful moment for me of just shifting my entire perspective on that. And so out of that, man, we saw how many people that night responded to the call.
We had 220 people that came to Christ that night. And just to back up just briefly, the principal, 3 or 4 days before the event, he had literally pulled us in shouting and yelling and pounding his fist on, this will not happen in my school. And literally the pencil jar fell off, the picture frame fell off.
Yeah, his family picture frame
he
fell
was
off.
red. And I was like a high school kid.
That was a big dude.
In this day and age.
He was 6'4",
oh, yeah.
250 plus pounds.
He was intimidating.
I was
it's my way or the highway,
pounds,
you know. And I remember we're sitting there as high school kids, and I'm like, oh my goodness! In this day and age, if that happened, people, stuff would happen, you know. But he was so against it, and the last thing he says the day of the event, on a different one, is he said, if I receive one negative phone call from this event, he goes, I will shut down every Christian event that ever tries to come into the school again. And he even said he was a Christian in the Bible studies.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, we're leading FCA, Prayer Furnace, and Youth Alive. Miss Vivian, I'll never forget her.
Yeah, I
She
love
was
Miss Vivian.
Miss Vivian was his secretary.
Yeah.
And she comes out, she goes, I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for you guys.
I remember the assistant principal came walking out and he told
Yeah.
us, he said, hey guys, I just want you to know that the dean had a meeting last night for all of our schools in the district, and it was about you. And we're like, what? Because yeah, it was about you guys. Like we had other things to talk about, but it was about you guys the entire time. They are so nervous about what you guys are doing. I'm like, us? Like
2 seniors in high school? Are you kidding me?
And
Wow.
and he said, guys, I'm so excited. I'm praying for you guys. I can't, and he's like, I support you guys. But it was so funny because they all had to do it like quietly.
Yeah,
like on
quietly,
the DL, because their boss was not okay. He was
Right.
so scared.
Well,
yeah.
And I tell you what, man, 220 people came to Christ. It was incredible. We saw the dream and the vision fulfilled. And I remember going back. It was like 2 weeks before graduation. And a week later, I went back and Miss Vivian said, hey, I just want to let you know. She goes, we never got one negative phone call from your event. We had dozens. The phone call has been ringing off the hook, thanking the principal for allowing this amazing event because their kids have come home changed. They're taking out the trash when they get home. They've been kind and nice. They're offering to help their sibling. Like, that's what she was saying. And I was like, are you kidding me?
That's incredible. I forgot that.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So
that's incredible.
It's just cool because when you do something for the Lord and you go all in with it, if you have a word he has spoken, friends, you got to go after it.
Yeah.
You got to pursue it.
You can trust him.
This is a story that was literally from at the time of this recording 15 years ago.
Yeah,
that we
2006.
Yeah, 15 years ago that we lived this out. And this is just one story. Think of all the dreams and things we have. In the next episode of Awaken the Wonder, we're going to talk about some of the miracles we're seeing today. It's been incredible. But my friends, God is doing incredible things.
Oh, yeah.
He's birthing things in the hearts of your kids and your teenagers. He's birthing things in your heart. And the only way that those things aren't going to happen is if you don't do anything. You've got to take a step.
That's right. And I think the last thing, the point of this fun story is everyone has a decision to make.
Yeah.
Every day we have decisions to make. And we decided as young kids that I'm going to love Jesus today.
Choose this day whom you will serve.
Come on.
It was
come
the
on.
Lord
Hey,
and not peer pressure.
Hey, that's a pretty good book that came from. Yeah. So but you have a decision to make. And every day it's like hey, whether it's just to go sit with somebody that needs somebody to be encouraged that day. But every day you get a decision to say, can I get before the Lord? Can I talk to you, Jesus? And then he's going to talk back, and he's going to give you, if you ask him, he's going to say, like, Lord, what do you want to do? He's going to tell you. Then you have to say, well, am I going to do it or not?
Yeah, come on. That's so true. Friends, you have a choice to make this year. We're at the beginning of a brand new year. What has God asked you to do this year? 2021 is before us. This is a year of promise. It's a year of harvest. It's a year of pain and suffering. Things have happened. But my friends, what are you going to do today to demonstrate God's kingdom in the earth? Today, you can make that choice, and you can start it today, and you can live that thing out, and the world can benefit from your light. In Jesus' name, thank you for joining us on this edition of Awaken the Wonder. Stay tuned for part 5 of my conversation with Josh tomorrow. Thank you for listening to Awaken the Wonder. If you enjoyed today's show and want more ministry like this, please visit kingdomencounters.us, where you can find weekly blogs and my latest book, Hunger. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the tag Evangelist Caleb Wampler. If the Lord leads you to partner with us in the nations in prayer and giving, visit kingdomencounters.us. I'll see you next time.